Hi everyone, Lisa here for Honeybee Stamps. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm sharing a few quick and simple coffee themed cards using the new fresh brewed paper pad and coffee Buzzword stamps and dies. Now I'm going to use one piece of 6x6 paper to create two cards. We're going to do the outside and a little on the inside of the cards. You can use whatever pattern paper you have. And in fact, I'm sharing two samples at the end of the video from the Autumn Afternoon paper pad. Here we're going to make our first cut on the 4-inch line. We're going to cut all the way down the 6-inch piece of paper at 4 inches. We're going to twist this around and we're going to cut at 5 1/4 inches. Now that's going to leave us with two pieces of paper, one that's going to measure 4 by 5 1/4 inches, and then we have a smaller piece here that's 4 by 3/4 of an inch. Set those to the side. That leaves us with a 2 by 6 inch piece of paper. We're going to cut that at the 1 1/2 inch mark, and then we're going to twist it and cut this at the 5 1/2 inch mark, and we're going to have a tiny small piece of paper left. You can toss it, save it for later. It's completely up to you. Now I have a 1/2 inch piece left here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that to 5 1/4 inches. Now I love Kraft cardstock with coffee themed cards, so I decided I would mat my pattern paper for the outside of the card with some Kraft cardstock. That piece that I just cut was 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. This piece that I'm cutting now, 1 by 5/8 of an inch by 5 1/2 inches. I'm going to use my tape runner to adhere all the pieces together, mat my pattern paper, and then we'll go ahead and add it to A2 card bases, 100-pound Nina Avalanche white card bases. And here's a quick look at what we have so far. So these are so easy. Off screen real quick, I'm going to run all 3 layers of the coffee word from that coffee Buzzword die set. I'm going to run that through my die cut machine with white cardstock, a dark chocolate cardstock, and the Kraft cardstock. Now I have a bunch of pieces of white cardstock that I just save, and then when I need them for times like this, I use them. Now I have 2 panels there. We'll talk about those in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. I'm using my VersaFine Clair Pinecone ink. You guys know how much I love that ink because it stamps perfect every time. Let's talk about the Tonic paper trimmer. This is the small one. In fact, I did get it from Honeybee Stamps. And I absolutely love this paper trimmer when it comes time to cut my sentiments. There's not a gap between the plastic guide there and the edge of where you're cutting. That guide runs right along the edge of where you're cutting. So there's never any guessing about how close am I to what I stamped. You know, you're always on the money with it. So I just used my scissors to snip the tail ends off of those sentiment strips and set those to the side. Now, here are the coffee words I ran through the die cut machine. I'm using 3D round foam adhesives to add those to the largest shadow. There we go. And then I'm going to use some honeybee glue to add that top layer. And I'm just adding tiny little dots of the glue to the back of this dark chocolate cardstock that I used. And then we'll go ahead and layer that on top of the Kraft. I do both of the coffee words the exact same way. I'm going to use some 1/8 of an inch foam adhesive strips. Love these things for sentiment strips and also for using them on the back of these die cut words. Makes it so easy. We're going to go ahead and add these, and then we'll start to center these die cut words on our cards and add our little sentiment strips. Now, I do use the 1/8 of an inch strips on the back of those cut sentiments as well. It just makes it so much easier than trying to cut a big piece of mounting foam. It's so sticky and it just gums up my scissors. So I've just said, you know what? I'm going to start buying this instead of the other mounting foam. I'm centering this coffee word up on my card bases, and then I'm going to play around with the placement of the rest of my sentiment, and it's going to read, I love you more than coffee, but please don't make me prove it. Just like I said, playing around with the placement. We'll go ahead, peel that release paper off the back of that mounting foam and then add this to our card. For the inside of our card, what I chose to do was to use panels, and I'm not going to adhere those inside of the card. I'm just going to slide them in. My panels are 4 inches by 5¼ inches. And see how I'm using those extra little pieces of cardstock to dress those up a little bit. I'm just using my honeybee glue and adding those to those pieces, the white cardstock. Now, this is the great thing about these cards. You can take one of the little post-it notes that you can either have them printed out yourself or you can write your little note on it yourself. I have some that are pre-printed with Share Handmade Kindness. And you could slide one of these little post-it notes in your card and then take this, put your message on the white cardstock panel, and then lay that over the post-it note. So when the recipient receives the card, they're going to see your message first, and then when they take it out, they're going to see that, hey, I can reuse this card. That's pretty cool. And if they want to do the same thing and leave the post-it note in there, you didn't write on it, they can send that post-it note right along to someone else if they want to. I'm not a fan of resending cards. I know some people are, so I like to give that option. Once I send something to someone, whatever they do with it is completely up to them. So here are the 2 autumn afternoon cards I created. I absolutely love that pattern paper with the Kraft and the rose gold foil. I think they are so pretty. These cards are so simple to create. So let me know what you think about these in the comments below. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you'll click that subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of new content to the channel. And for more information about the products I used, you can head over to the Honeybee Stamps website. And until next week, take care and keep crafting.